Hey, ladies and gentlemen, another Facebook Live. We are here today with the infamous or famous, depending on how you look at it, okay, Mr. Bill Velto, manager of the Upland office and also mayor of Upland, California. Ladies and gentlemen. Bill, do you walk down the street signing autographs as mayor of Upland? Do people pull you aside?
I try to stay as hidden as possible. No, it's
tough being a celebrity.
Yeah, I've lived here 60 years in Upland, so a lot of people know who I am. But I'm just kind of stealth. I'm stealth somewhat.
I'm stealth. I know you. You're anything but stealth.
I'm big enough that I don't need to really say who I am. Most people know.
Right. Okay, cool. All right. Well, tell us a little about yourself. How long you've been doing this? Because we have people from Arizona and Nevada as well as California on here.
So I've been doing real estate professionally for over 30 years. But prior to that, I was my father was back in the day. They called us. They didn't call them flippers. They called them dealers. They were real estate dealers. So when I was about 18 years old, my father was a real estate dealer. He was never a licensed guy, but he used to buy properties, and I got involved with him in real estate at a very young age. So I kind of understood the game of real estate since I was 18 years old or so. Even earlier than that, probably, because my father was buying homes as young as when I was 12 years old, buying and dealing homes, we used to call it. So the term flipper came out, I guess, in the last 20 years or so. So
yeah,
30 years. But I've been in management the majority of that time. Was only selling for like 1 year before my company came calling me and said, "Hey, how'd you like to manage?"
And that was Tarbell. Tell them a little bit about the Tarbell story and how we, merged together back in 4 years ago now.
It's about 3 years this year. Is it 3 years this year?
No, it's 4. I'm pretty sure.
4, right? Yeah. Oh, that's right, 2022. Yeah. So I was with Tarbell for many, many years. I worked my way up from a manager to regional to executive vice president, and worked with Joe McCowan. Joe was president at the time, and I was acting as general manager during the time. And then when things got a little different for us in the market, and bless you.
Thank you.
And we decided that it was time to look at another opportunity. And lo and behold, Mark Stark came along. Mark and I met at Lazy Dog Restaurant in Ontario, here in California, on a Sunday evening. And Ron was there for a few minutes. They left Mark and I together. And at that moment, I kind of fell in love with what Berkshire Hathaway had to offer as a company, and I told Ron the next day when I called him, I said, "Ron, what you're doing is probably the best thing you could have ever done for your father's company, was to make sure that the legacy of Tarbell Realtors remained with the people." And that's what he did. And we became Berkshire Hathaway. And since then, it's been quite a journey.
Nothing but good. Yeah, I remember my first little tour, because I do the speaking and training at the offices. And do you remember my tagline? Come on. You remember my tagline, don't you?
You got a few of them. So
Tarbell was swell, but now we slay with Cabernet.
Yes, that's right. As a matter of fact, my walls already were painted Cabernet. If you remember,
see that? My
highlighted walls were Cabernet because that was one of my favorite colors, and I happen to like Cabernet wine. So it worked out nice. So sometimes things happen for a reason.
Yeah,
and this was a great reason.
No, it was because I remember my early days with Mike Ferry. I had a couple of Tarbell agents that I coached in 1995, 96.
Yeah, well, Mike was popular within the Tarbell organization for a lot of people. I was one of the managers that was real careful who I brought into my office, because I didn't want agents to get off of focus. So I had met Mike, and I'd also met his son over the years, and met all the trainers. Everyone, Joe Stump, Mike Pinto. I was a sweat hog in Floyd Wickman. I went through Floyd Wickman as a sweat hog. So I went through all those guys. Tommy Hopkins, I went to his boot camp. So, all the guys like you who were those people that really helped people like me become a better manager, because I'd go see guys like you, and you guys brought those tools forward to help our organization become successful. So we always looked outside the organization for training, but we brought it back in and melded it with ours. And that always helped become successful in leadership.
I remember, and all of that's absolutely true. And remember, I remember the day when all of them would be at one place. Like my ERA convention, Floyd Wickman was there, Mike Ferry was there, Jerry Bresser was there, Richard Flint was there, Daniel Kennedy was there. And they were all like in small rooms, you'd go from one to the other. To Floyd Wickman had the best opening line. Do you remember? Like, and this is 30 years ago, so this made more sense then. He would go, "Well, I'm up here. I just wanted to let you know I feel like the next husband of Elizabeth Taylor. I know what's expected of me. I'm not sure if I can deliver." I thought that was.
Is he still around? I wonder if he's still alive.
You know what? I don't know. I know he's from Detroit, but I don't know if he's still kicking. My suspicion is yes.
Even Roger Butcher's around. I mean,
Yes.
Danielle Kennedy is now a celebrity. She does movies and television shows. I've
Yeah.
seen her on a couple of shows, and she keeps in touch. I keep in touch with her. But the trainers that you guys have brought, with you being part of the organization, it gives us that comfort level for those of us who knew Mike very well, who knew all those people that you've just named. It reassures us that we're going down the right path. And I think that's important for real estate agents to know that the people in leadership at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services have come up through those organizations and through that type of training and leadership roles, and that helps set the standard. And I think that Berkshire Hathaway has set that standard for its agents and for its leadership team.
I agree 100%. That's why I'm here. That's why I came here. I remember 8 years ago, because I've been here 8 years now, when I had been talking to Mark for about a year and a half, too, off and on. And then Uncle Warren Buffett, bought Prudential, and I was like, and turned it into Berkshire Hathaway. I was like, this is a winning combination, and it's been nothing but that sense. And my little joke is the company has doubled in size since I've been here. I'm not taking all the credit, but we have doubled in size since I've been.
Well, yeah, what I think it's the entire management team.
Absolutely.
The humility and the humbleness of the management team to not try to take credit for everything that happens, because we rely on the agents. And once you have a management team that realizes that the agents are the lifeblood of the company,
no doubt.
And they have to understand that, because that's what keeps this heartbeat of this organization is that blood.
Yeah, and that's my favorite part of the job is coaching, working with, being friends with. I play golf with, the agents in this company, because they are the clients to us for sure. That's the number one. As Mark would say, we're a business service company, right? You know the tagline, and that's what we are. We help them whether they want to be an individual agent or a company within the company, like Ivan and Matt, and whether they have 30, 40 agents working for them. Any of those things fit within this umbrella, and we work with all of them, and they're all a joy to work with.
Yeah, and that's one thing I'm impressed about when I look at the numbers sometimes of what these agents are doing. I look at Ivan's numbers just recently, and I was sharing that with some of my staff. Going, you look at someone like that, you say, okay, guys, just gives you an idea what the potential is in this industry. Yeah. So may not be your goal. But even if you could understand that there are people capable of doing that.
Right.
So that should inspire you. We talk about people being motivated, and I've always said that, I'm not a motivator. I hope to inspire someone that motivates themselves.
Right. And even if you talk to Ivan, that wasn't his goal at first either. His goal was to make it in this business. Vegas was his second or third stop trying to make it work in real estate. And then he met, Florence Shapiro, and that changed his whole thing. And it was Shapiro and Scheer for a long time. And then unfortunately Florence passed away of cancer, and he took over. And, the real estate division he would never have changed the name, but since she's not around, she can't be, how it is in Nevada. Whoever's on the license, that's the way. It's really interesting. California, you can have fictitious names. You can't really do that in Nevada.
Well, when you bring up people like Ivan, and you bring up the Garrisons, and you bring up some of the other people that are producers, the Limbs, a lot of the local agents, when you talk to them, they're quite humble. They're not the ones that, obviously they're very competitive, but if you can just reach out and talk to them. And over the years, I've learned that, I've had no problems reaching out to very successful people in my career and asking them questions. And I emphasize that to agents. I said, don't take advantage of their time, be respectful of their time. And reach out to them, because if you just ask them, do you have a moment of time? They normally will give it to you, because that's how they became successful. Right. Nobody became successful on their own. They became successful listening to others.
Exactly.
And learning from
them. Yep. The agents here are awesome. It's one of, because my time with Mike Ferry and coaching and even on my own and doing, it's very interesting how this company, you can walk down the hall and ask an agent a question, they'll come into your office and help you and so forth. Not so in other places. We don't look at the interior agents as competition for each other, because they're really not. There's so much business out there.
But there's a company locally that has a little turtle they hang on the door, And if the turtle's hanging on the door, don't bother the agent. It's like, you know, no, I don't like. That's why I never liked the doors being closed. And I've always emphasized, unless you're in the middle of a conference, please keep your door open. And over the years, agents that have worked in my organization or worked with me, or I work for them, actually, I always tell them I work for you. I made it very clear to them that the way you became successful was by the success of others. So I don't penalizing someone because of the overall success of the company. I promise you that if you help someone, you'll have a friend for a lifetime, and they'll help you one day.
Right. And the old karmic response there too. Okay, so I know that you've been in the business for a while. You've helped a lot of agents be successful, Bill. So, like, as a manager, and your because I know you have some really awesome agents in your office, right? You have some really top producers in there, and some agents that kick butt in a very competitive area, which you're in. All right, and so give us a couple. Like, what are the top 3 things that you've noticed that are consistent with really successful real estate agents?
What I've noticed over the years about really successful, the ones I've had successful, are they're always working. They are always working. In other words, it's almost at a point where you have to tell them to take a break. And they're very consistent. They're consistent with what they do, and they're persistent. They don't no. No to them is, I haven't given that person enough information to say yes. So they'll consistently provide information. Another thing about the hard workers, and my wife's in the business, and she's one of the ones that's a hard worker. So they seem to talk to each other in this office. The top producers are always talking to each other, and they're sharing stories. And a lot of times it's at 2:00 in the morning. It's at 3:00 in the morning, and I'll hear about it the next day. So I know that the most important is consistency, persistence, patience, and occasionally a little bit of prayer. So
good one. Yeah, I always tell agents, either have patience or you'll become one.
Yes, good point. And they're also very forgiving. The top producers take a lot of abuse sometimes from the competition. People talk about them, and I always tell agents the reason why you're getting people say stuff about you is because they're not you.
Right.
And the reason why they're not you is because they're not as good as you. Right. And so when you become a target, so you cannot allow the words of your competition, or even some other agents in the office sometimes who may think you're aloof, or it's because you're busy working. So don't take it personal. Remember, you're an individual working with a group of people. And as long as you are humble and open to listening to people, and you'll be surprised how much those people will end up being your biggest supporters.
So true. When they're talking about you, it's because you're worth talking about. And people like to justify where they're at. Because I think everybody intuitively knows that if they really wanted to be that successful, they could, but the work that goes along with it isn't attractive to them. Right? Because it's not easy to be a top producer in anything, real estate, acting, lawyer, accountant. It takes a lot of work, takes a lot of effort, and you always have a group of people that are jealous, that'll take shots at you. And I used to tell myself, because I remember that when I was an agent too, I used to call it, it's a compliment inside out. That's all it is.
Right. When agents will say to me, they go, "That person is so darn lucky." I go, "Lucky? Yeah. No, luck is spelled WORK. They happen to work real hard. They're in the right place at the right time, and they take advantage of those opportunities at the right time. That's why you'll see them always out there. They're always visible. They're always marketing. They're always sending out emails. They're always where they should be at the right place at the right time. What did you do yesterday? I'll ask people that are struggling. What did you do yesterday? Well, I was a little busy yesterday. Well, doing what? Well, I had a friend in from out of town. Well, didn't you have a friend in from town the day before? See?
Right.
So, you know why they're lucky? Because they work.
Right. When someone says, well, that person is so talented, that's just a way of them to justify not putting in the time. Because, if I was that talented, I'd do the same thing, but I'm not. That's what they're saying. Like, if you read Carol Dweck's book, what the hell is it called? But she talks about fixed versus open mindset, basically a growth mindset, right? Growth mindset says that person worked, That person, you know, like in my little book, Success is a Verb, I use the example of Tom Brady versus Michael Phelps. Tom Brady, other than his height, put all that time. He's the worst quarterback to ever go through the combine, stats-wise. Jumping, running. The only problem with Tom Brady is that he can't run, he can't throw, he can't jump. He's slow as molasses, but he ends up being the best quarterback in the history of NFL because of his work ethic and his competitive, you know, and confidence in himself, right? Because if you look at all the other stuff, there's no way he should be able to do what he does. I compare him to the bumblebee. You know, physics say a bumblebee shouldn't be able to fly. The size versus the wings shouldn't be able to fly, but it does, right? Then you have Michael Phelps, who's actually 6'2", 6'3", has the upper body of a 6'5" guy, size 15 or 14 feet. His feet rotate. Basically, he is designed to swim. But if he didn't have the work ethic, there's no way he would be the most decorated, you know, Olympic athlete in the history of mankind. So the key, what you just said is, it's work. It's a 4-letter word. Work.
Well, I can't remember. I think it was Calvin Coolidge said, and it's right here in my office. I've had it here. I've had it so long on my desk here that the paper has faded to a yellow. It says, "Press on. Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unrewarded talent. Education alone will not. The world is full of educated failures. Persistence alone is omnipotent. Persistence is all powerful." And people that are persistent in anything that they do end up becoming the most powerful person in that group. And I don't mean power from a position of authority. I mean becoming a powerful person in the industry and accomplishing goals. So if you approach your job like you're the CEO and stop trying to be all things to everyone, those who have a difficult time getting motivated should simply just take a walk. That's another thing I believe in. So, you know, I firmly believe the harder you work, the more results you get. And I've seen it watching Mark Stark. That to me is a success story in its own. And
he sure is. Yeah, he sure is. He's a great guy, and he's a great guy too. Fun to be around, and he has a sense of humor, and you know, a little goofy, which just because anyway, I could rip Mark all day. He's a blast to be around. All right, any final thoughts you want to leave these wonderful people, Bill?
You know, I think what the only final thought I leave is that you're with a great organization that really does care about you. We're getting bigger. We've had some minor changes lately. I call them minor changes, nothing to lose sleep over. And I think if you stay focused on the big picture, instead of getting caught up on little things that go on around you, and you stay focused in your business, interest rates can go up, interest rates can come down. Inventory can go up, inventory can come down. It is what it is. We're in a business of opportunities. That's what we're in. Whether people say it's a buyer's market or a seller's market, I don't care. It's a market. So focus on the end result, and the end result will make you successful.
I know this, no matter what's going on, if you talk to 15 people every day about real estate, in spite of yourself, you'll be successful.
That's a fact, Jack.
That's a fact, Jack. All right. Bill, thank you very much, Mayor Bill. Thank you for taking your time out today. I was going to mention there's a couple other sayings in your office that we probably can't repeat, but we won't mention that today, right? Yeah, okay. All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Bill, thank you very much for taking your time out today. Appreciate it.
Have a good day.
Everybody else, we'll see you on Thursday.